For the consumer today, trying to figure out which center console outboard boat they want to buy, you've got a lot of choices. And one of the big things that comes up over and over again is how much style and comfort do I want, and how much functionality do I want, and can I combine the two into one boat? I'm George LaBonte with Mission Boating, and we're going to take a look at the brand new offering from Blackwood, their 290 Open, and see if this boat can combine the best of both worlds.
Today on Mission Boating, our host, Captain George LaBonte, steps aboard the Blackwood 290 Offshore Open, a center console with a V-bottom hull designed to offer the ultimate in fit, finish, and luxury while providing fishermen and their family a seaworthy ride into blue water. The Blackwood 290 Offshore Open has an overall length of 29 feet, a beam of 11 feet, and a max horsepower rating of 800. With a draft of 20 inches, a dead rise of 24 degrees, a dry weight of 9,000 pounds, and a fuel capacity of 200 gallons, she can easily navigate rough conditions for extended distances over open water. Equipped with twin Yamaha 300 four-stroke outboards, she averaged a cruise speed of 38 miles per hour at 4,000 RPM and a top speed of 61 miles per hour at 6,000 RPM. Now, let's check in with our host to learn more about the Blackwood 290 Offshore Open.
So it seems like the new dilemma faced by both the manufacturer of boats and the consumer of boats is just how much do I need from the comfort standpoint and from the fishability standpoint, and it seems like all of the manufacturers are trying to find that magic balance between the two. And you know, that's a really difficult task because it varies on a case-by-case basis what the particular boater that's looking for a boat actually needs in a boat, and that's up to you to decide. But for me, a boat that offers a lot of fishability is a lot more important than a boat that offers a lot of trim and seating and comfort, because I'll be comfortable back at my house when I get done fishing. Fishing comes first for me. Now, that's not the case for everybody. A lot of people have others to answer to, maybe a wife that wants comfortable seating and a little bit more trim, and you know, she wants to have a little bit more pleasant experience than hardcore fishing, so you've got to make some concessions in that department, and naturally you're going to do that for your wife because you care about her. And how do we combine those features with fishing features on a boat? Let's unpack some of the specs on this 290 Open and see where they've decided to draw the line between comfort and fishability. Now, you have very basic needs if you're a fisherman like myself. I mean, I want a boat that's comfortable to be on, but I need a boat that I can walk all the way around, and this boat offers great 360 walk-around fishability, and there's a really wide passageway around the entire boat, so that means a lot to me. Now, the Blackwood 290 offers us 4 insulated fish holes in the deck. There's 2 150 quart boxes towards the aft side of it, and there are 2 120 quart boxes in front of that. Now, a trend you see in a lot of boats, especially in the bigger boats, it's a race to be bigger and badder and more better than everybody else, and you'll see boats putting fish boxes in there that are 500-gallon gigantic boxes that 8 people can get inside. Now, that's great if you're commercial tuna fishing and you need to carry fish around for 4 or 5 days, but in the normal person's world, 150 quart and 120 quart box is more practical in the world of a recreational fisherman. Now, in addition to that, there are 2 120 quart insulated spaces up here, which in a world, I can imagine somebody might need to use those for a fish box, but I would much prefer to use that as a clean spot to put food and drinks in. In addition to the 2 insulated boxes I just mentioned, there's a live well also located right here, one of 3 on board the boat. And what would you rather have in my world, 1 gigantic live well or 3 smaller live wells to do different jobs? In a perfect world, for me, I want to split stuff up into smaller compartments, and let me tell you why. First thing is, if you've got 1 giant live well in the boat, say a 75, 80-gallon live well, if you lose a live well pump, and that's the only one you've got, you're not live bait fishing that day, and sometimes that happens in the middle of your day. If you've got redundancy, like 3 boxes, and you split that up, now there's 3 25-gallon live wells on this boat, that's a combined total of 75 gallons, and that's plenty of storage for all the bait needs you might have. A recreational fisherman is never going to need more than that. Now there's a couple of different ways that you can set a boat up to fish, and in South Florida, a very popular way to set out and fish for the day on a center console boat is to drift and fish on both sides of the boat, up and down the entire length of the boat. That's my personal favorite way to fish out of here in Jupiter and Stewart, where I fish from, and that's what I find myself doing every day. What you're gonna need to accomplish that is a lot of rod holders on the boat, and they've got to go up and down both sides of the boat. You may find yourself drifting with a kite flying on one side of the boat and fishing baits on that side of the boat, and then drifting some flat lines and deep baits on the other side. And the 290 Open here is definitely set up to do that. There's 19 rod holders in the gunnels here all the way around the boat, and they're actually the mate style cup holder and rod holder combo, so there's also 19 places to put your drink down if you're not fishing, which is really handy too. And that's a great way to fish, and like I said, there's a lot of room to move around on the boat, but that's not a way that everybody wants to fish, and there's other things you can do, such as trolling and fishing out of the back of the boat, or anchoring up and bottom fishing, where you're also fishing out of the back of the boat. The 290 is set up equally as well to do that kind of fishing. Now in the cockpit here, you've got the standard cockpit arrangement. They added 2 insulated boxes here. If you're a deadbait fisherman and you like to troll ballyhoos or something, you've got 2 boxes here that you can keep your deadbait chilled down and fresh and operate out of here in this tackle center. There's also storage for a bunch of tackle underneath, and drawers and pull-out stuff and containers to put all your gear that never should leave the boat, and there's plenty of room for that stuff below as well. Now in the cockpit behind me, we've got 2 live wells. In addition to the one I showed you in the front, there's 2 25-gallon tanks here. They both have aquarium fronts on them, so they let the light in to keep your baits calm. Now, if you're the kind of person that brings a bunch of extra rods with you, whether you're gonna use them or not, you're gonna need somewhere to store them, and here's a double stacked storage setup where you can put rod holders. You can fish rigger baits or shotgun lines out of there, but more they're set up to carry extra rods when they're not in use, and certainly they've got you covered in volume in this setup right here. So we've got all the fishing features for the most part out of the way. Let's address some of the comfort features and style features that are going to make your wife, for example, very happy about being on the Blackwood 290 Open. Now, there are certain things on a boat that you can do to really dress it up, and obviously style-wise, I mean, this boat's got it in spades. There's a lot of really nice finish work on the boat. The boat's entirely ringed and really nice coaming bolster. There's stainless trim, there's a handrail. I mean, things that finish a boat, and the finish work just in general on the boat is really nice. Now, all of that stuff contributes to the overall aesthetic of the boat, and that's gonna make your wife really happy, or your significant other happy about the way the boat looks, if style matters a lot to them. At the dash here, you see the Helm. I mean, it's carbon fiber, it's really stylish. The powder coating, this 3-sided enclosure, I mean, this really adds a real nice element of style to the boat, and it's very functional at the same time. Now let's address a couple of the other things that may, in another world, interfere with your fishability, and the first and foremost thing that comes to mind for me is seating. Now we've got a sun lounge in the front, as we mentioned, and that's a great place for somebody to stretch out and just get a tan and be out of the way. Does it interfere with your fishing at all on this boat? Of course not. It's absolutely out of the way for walking around, so it's providing you somewhere to go and relax without getting in the way of people fishing on the boat. Now you're going to want additional seating. There may be a day where you actually have to do some duty at the sandbar or drive around on the Intracoastal, and you're going to need some extra seating for that. Well, there's a pull-out convertible seat in the cockpit here that comes out very easily and stows away when you're not using it. Now that's going to give you an opportunity to sit back there and just relax, and while you're cruising around on the Intracoastal, for example. Now, if you should find yourself getting pulled into water activity duty, say for a Sunday afternoon, there's an important feature I'd like to point out here is there's a pair of integrated boarding platforms off the transom, and they've each got their own telescopic ladder, but something different that I notice on the Blackwood 290 here is that these ladders swing outboard away from the engines, which makes it much safer to get in and out of the water. If you're swimming and you need to come back out, you don't have to swim up alongside propellers to climb out of the ladder the way you see it on a lot of other boats. So there's 2 of them, and I might also point out that you can install twin power poles and attach them to the same point right there, which is handy if you find yourself in a situation like this at the sandbar. And other items that are going to really make their day more enjoyable for just driving around, good audio system. This boat's got it. There's some cool lighting all throughout the boat, including underwater lights. There's misters in the hardtop, which are great on a summer day. But one thing that I definitely want to point out, which in my experience is probably 50% of all women it's a deal breaker. They will not go on the boat if there's not a head on the boat. And the console on the 290 Open is really roomy. It's big enough to stand up down in there. It does have a head, and there's room to get on there and change comfortably if they want to get in and out of a swimsuit or change an outfit or do whatever, that kind of thing. So that's absolutely going to be beneficial if you've got somebody that's concerned with creature comforts on the boat. Now, another important feature when you're in the market for a boat is not just fishability, but how well does the boat perform? And that includes the functionality for the helmsman and the ride and the way the boat sits in the water. Those are all equally important in a boat. And you can have a great fishable boat that rides terrible, and that's not a boat you're going to want to spend any time on. It's going to keep you from getting on the water. So what are the things that we look at? First, for the helmsman, you've got to have a comfortable place to drive from that gives you good visibility, protection from the elements, and a nice display. Like, we've got two 16-inch screens right here. We can put all the electronics that we need in front of us. They're easy to look at. Now, this boat features a 24-degree dead rise on the back, which is a dead rise, the angle of the bottom, that's widely known for being a really soft riding boat. It's also got a real sharp entry in the front that's going to cut through the waves really good. And they've got a flat pad that helps you get the boat out of the water and get out of the hole quicker. And it runs really nice with that little bit of pad, takes some of the edge off of all that dead rise. Now, with that being said, how is that going to translate into real world terms? If you're driving on the boat, this boat is going to take off and get out of the hole. Now, I ran the boat in some pretty choppy conditions, and I noticed right away that it's a very dry boat and a very soft riding boat. And that's directly related to the 24-degree dead rise. Now, another feature I noticed on the boat when we saw it on the trailer was a really big bow flare in the front. And, some people might think that bow flare is an automatic fix for waves coming up over the side, but that's just not the case. The flare on the bow of the boat has got to be put in the appropriate place, and they've combined just the right amount of flare in the right spot to keep this boat as dry as you could ever hope to have on a 29-foot boat. Okay, let's be honest, there's probably no perfect boat for everybody. I mean, there's so many different kinds of tastes and so many people, and everybody's got different needs. However, that being said, if you're the kind of person that really wants a really top performing fishing boat that's got a lot of functionality and fishability, but you answer to somebody that wants a boat that's got a load of style and some comfort features that are going to make their day more enjoyable, I don't see very many boats that will set the bar higher than the boat I'm standing on. With all that being said, I'm George LaBonte for Mission Boating, and this is the Blackwood 290 Open.
Mission Boating, the ultimate marine resource.